Welcome, everyone, to the Insurance and Beyond podcast. Guys, this is our very first episode. We are super excited about being here. Guys, this is a podcast to where you can tune in to listen, you can learn, and earn your way to success in this ever evolving world of insurance. This is our mantra. This is what our goal is. This is not your normal, everyday, boring insurance podcast, guys. We are three friends that have been friends for a long time. We're in different parts of the country, and we're literally in some of the hardest markets that's out there. Our goal here, guys, is to really help you be able to be better agents and more successful business owners. And at the end of the day, which is the most important aspect of it all, increase your earnings and increase your earning potentials. So without further ado, let's go in. Let's do some introductions. I'm going to introduce you to our co-hosts, and then I'll take the last spot to introduce myself. Mike, you're right next to me on my screen here, so I'll let you go first. Tell us a little about yourself, what you do, and
Well,
where you
Devin,
came from.
thank you so much. So I am actually, my name is Mike Kirtley. I'm an independent agent in West Virginia. And for those of you that don't know, we are a separate state. We have been for about 160 years now. I ask you to apologize. I just tested negative this morning for COVID. I've had COVID for 7 days, so I'm coming out of recovery. So I don't sound the best, but just bear with me. I'll be okay. But former Nationwide captive, I've got 20 years in the business. Started as a captive with Nationwide. Of course, most of you know the Nationwide went independent a couple years ago. Very difficult transition, very lucrative transition if you did it right. We know a lot of agents that did it right. We know a lot of agents that did not. You know what? Go back to what Devin said. We're here to help. I mean, that's what we're here for, to educate, inform, pass on some things for you. So West Virginia is a very, very tough market in insurance. The running joke is that when the markets are good, there are no carriers in West Virginia. So we're in a hard market, and we have been for a while. So you can only imagine what it's like. So it's tough.
I would think it's almost equally as tough in Florida.
You know what? The next guy that's going to talk is going to be right there with me. He's going to lament the same things I'm lamenting. Okay, just in a very, very different perspective, but the fundamentals are absolutely the same in what we're going through. But yeah, so West Virginia, smaller book, above average book for my state, but obviously not one of these huge book of businesses that you hear about out there. But you know what? Things are very, very different in this state, very rural. So a lot of you listening are probably going to be in an area where you've got a lot of rural areas. And you can have rural areas in every state. We all know that. So hopefully throughout this podcast, as we continue, something that I can say, and we're going to say together, we're going to work off each other. Something's going to come up that's going to trigger something for you. It's going to help you get over that hump and help you get to that next step. So.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So I'm Chuck Webb. I've been in the industry since 1991. So if I do my math correctly, as of August, it would be 33 years in the business.
It's August, Chuck.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Glad you caught it.
Yeah, it's August.
You're good at math too. Yeah. 3.5 weeks until football season. So super excited about that. And, a little bit about my background. I started off in the corporate world. That's where I spent the bulk of my time in the corporate sector in various leadership roles. And then 2020, when everything changed in the world, it changed in my world too. I jumped out and started in this independent channel. The good news, bad news. Good news is you have access to everything. The bad news is you need to know how to get access to everything. But between the three of us, we have so many contacts that if there's anything out there that anyone needs, we've already made mistakes for you. So that should shorten your time of trying to figure things out. Ultimate goal for me, for everyone out there, is literally spend less time searching, more time selling. And we're going to be here to do that. On a personal note, I am a proud graduate of the University of Florida Gators, aka alumni. Many people go there, very few graduate. Both of my daughters are also Gators as well, so it makes it exciting football season. Hopefully this year will be a little more exciting. I've been with my bride for 30 years now.
Wow.
So we have been chugging along with our two lovely kids, and hopefully the second one will be off payroll within the next year and a half. Thoughts and prayers for me on that one. Outside of that, born and raised in Florida, the Cocoa Beach area, currently live in Tampa, but we're looking to move a little bit north in the Carolinas, and we're going to be technically, they call them halfbacks, which is the New Yorkers who come to Florida realize it's too hot. So they go to North Carolina, which is halfway back to New York. But we're going to be we're going to be forward. So we're just going to be moving a little bit north of here to get a little closer to my daughter, who's currently working at ESPN and lives outside of Charlotte. So that is my story as far as book of business. Purchased book of business in 2021 ish. And I'm in acquisition mode, just like everyone else on this call is. But we're also selling, training, hiring staff, going through processes, looking at the technology, and playing with this new thing called AI. So a lot of that to come forward as we
yes.
progress. So
Man,
that
AI.
is my story. Yeah. So I'll turn it over to Devin.
AI is going to be such a big part of the insurance world as we're moving forward. A lot of the big mistakes that people make is that they don't embrace the future. So that's really why this podcast is called Insurance and Beyond, which is really talking about the future, where the insurance companies are going, where the insurance industry is going, how to make money in a hard market, and once the hard market is out, how do you really flourish in the soft market? So, but before we get into that, I'm going to talk a little bit about myself.
Yep.
So I am born and raised in Athens, Georgia. So technically, Chuck and I should be mortal enemies because he was out of Gainesville, Florida. So he is a born and bred Florida Gator. I am a born and bred Georgia Bulldog. Bleed red and black. Had season tickets there for Lord knows how long. Grew up, ever since I can remember watching the Bulldogs through good years and bad years, and there's been a lot more bad years than there have been good. I'll tell you that. So we have weathered the storm, but enough about that. I started in insurance back in 2001. I was on the life and financial side of things. 2010, I started my career in Nationwide. Got one of those random phone calls that they said, "Hey, would you be interested in something?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll listen." And it just turned out to be their agency capital builder program. So
the
for some of you
ACB
guys
program. Yes.
So for some of you guys that are listening, that was Nationwide Scratch Agent program. So I started as a scratch agent with 0 policies, and their program, I got paid a base salary, and I got paid $135 a policy, regardless of the policy size, which was a very interesting program. So you could write a $20,000 commercial policy, you got paid $135, or you write a $60 inland marine policy and you got paid $135. So me and one of my best friends, we got in there and we kind of broke the bank with Nationwide. They changed some rules and guidelines because of us, and we felt really proud about that. We came off the program in 2012. I actually finished the 18-month program in 12 months. But they made us stay on for the full 18. So we stayed on for the full 18. Opened up my office as a Nationwide exclusive agent. Fast forward to 2020, Nationwide gave us really 3 options to where you have to buy your books or you get a nice, wonderful 1099 at the end of the year. So, we'd also capitalize on a couple of different acquisitions during that time. And then in 2020, I merged with one of my best friends, and we kind of grew our book from there. We started doing a bunch of other mergers and acquisitions. That's really kind of where we specialize in. We've done about 3 acquisitions so far this year, in a market to where it's probably not the best time to do acquisitions. But, at the end of the day, there's anytime's a good time to do an acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, we started from ground zero, and we're just north of $35 million over, and in about 14 years for myself. So we've gone pretty well. We've done really good. I've made every single mistake that you could possibly think of in the insurance industry.
As we all have.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I was just going
But
to say, Devin said earlier, the three of us combined with the years of experience, the size of our books, where we've been through our lives, we've made every mistake out there. I mean, I venture to say there's very few that mistakes that we've not encountered. Again, Devin said earlier, that's why we're here. We're going to help with that. So didn't mean to interrupt you, Devin, but you're right. We've made those mistakes. We've all made them. And we're going to help maybe keep one of you from listening from making any of the mistakes we made as well.
Absolutely. And it really, guys, that's kind of the goal, right? The goal is to really, whether it is topics on compensation, topics on running your business, topics on, gaining insurance carrier access, making more money, bonuses, really any number of things, whatever it is that you want to talk about, we invite you to kind of interact with us as we go through this. If there's some topic that you want us to talk on, send us a message, shoot us an email. You can send us an email to podcast at insandbeyond.com. That's INSAND beyond.com. You can send us a message there. You can check us out on our Facebook page. You can check us out on Instagram, LinkedIn, any of those other different types of things. There's a great saying that's out there. It says, you can't control the wind, but you can adjust the sails. Amen. And guys, all that really means to you is it's not what happens to you, it's how you react. Mm-hmm. And the problem that has happened in the insurance market is you have a lot of agencies out there that they felt comfortable with the carriers that they had. They felt comfortable with the carriers that they had. But what happened is as the market has hardened, those carriers that they felt were good partners, they decided that those agencies were no longer good partners. And those carriers have either stopped writing or they've moved on. Mm-hmm. And the problem that's happened is now agencies are looking for carriers that will appoint them. But the problem is there's very few carriers out there that are mainstream carriers that will go in and are appointing new agents. So one of the things that we want to go into is really kind of go into why now, guys. Why are we doing this podcast now? Why us? And really, how can we go in and work in this hard market? How can we go about getting carriers? How can we go about getting markets? So, I'll let you guys kind of jump in anytime, but really, why us? Right? Why are we doing this?
So, one thing that I've always came back to, and I've said this for years and years and years, is that it's never the wrong time to do the right thing. I've told that to my staff. I've told that to my kids. It's never the wrong time to do the right thing. Well, how do you know what the right thing is? Well, the right thing comes from inside you. You have a feeling, you have a passion, you have a calling, and it just kind of hits you and it kind of takes over. So why us? Well, Devin, you were right. We've been friends for years, all three of us. We've worked together. We've got great friendship, and we all three have the same, what I feel is the same mentality and the same heartbeat. It's just like, okay, we all want to help people. It's who we are in our nature. When you come deep down to it, it's just, we remember when we got started, there was always one or two people that was always lending us a hand. Maybe not money, but they gave us advice. They gave us an uplift. They gave us something. Well, if you don't pay it forward, that stops even for us now. So why us? Well, you know what? Why not us? If not us, then who? And if not now, then when? So why wouldn't it be us, and why wouldn't it be now? Somebody needs help. It's up to us to help.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Everyone's future starts today. Everyone's history starts today, in my mind. So if you're in today, you're going to be acclimated to the world as it begins from this point moving forward. There is never a better time or a worse time to get anything. get into anything. It is just the right time is always the time you actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, it's a hard market, but the funny part about it is once this is all said and done, the hard work is over. Then it becomes easier. You learned all your processes the hard way, and then you're literally running on ice skates from that point on. So, the time is good. Number two, this is a required product. It's not like most other things you sell. It is required by law, law, meaning it the only way I can get a driver's or get my car registered is if I have insurance. The only way I can close on my house with a mortgage is unless I have insurance. The only way I can do business is if I have insurance. So if you have to be in something, uh, this is the thing you want to be in because you're selling stuff that's required, not something that is wanted or needed or assumed that it is needed.
Right. Absolutely. And it's interesting. I was having a conversation with one of my agents. He used to be in inside sales, and man, I tell you, on the inside sales side, he was blowing it out of the water. I mean, February he was selling 45,000. March
Wow.
he sold 52,000.
Wow.
Um,
Inside.
April
Inside.
April he sold 62,000. May he sold 54,000. And June he sold 67,000. So I'm like, so guys, naturally, I mean, and a lot of this stuff was coming from um markets that he was creating, whether it was BNI, referrals, anything else like that.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally my thought process on this was, hey, you know what?
Get him outside.
Let's move him to outside sales.
Yeah.
Let's move him to outside sales so he doesn't have the restrictions and he can really make some more money. So fast forward to present. So the month of July, he had a really difficult time. He sold $11,352.
He went back that far.
As of right now, he's sitting just north of $2,000. Right. So I'm not really sure what happened. I think there's some type of mentality that's going on there. Maybe he's a little unsure of himself. Not 100%, but the conversation I had with him today, I think, is really relevant to what we're talking about today, which is, he feels like a lot of agents do because they're having a hard time placing business or finding places for business and stuff like that. They're feeling like a failure, right?
Mm-hmm.
He feels like a failure. And I told him, I said, in order to go in and succeed, there has to be failure. You have to have a why. You have to have a catalyst, right? Everything is not going to be smooth, guys. This insurance market that we're in today, the insurance market that we were in 3 to 4 years ago, that was smooth, right? Like you could write things anywhere. You could write it with any carrier. Carriers were hungry. They wanted the business. Now, carriers don't want the business.
Nope.
They don't want the business at all. And in fact, if you're appointed with the carrier, you want to make sure that you mind your P's and Q's and you just don't throw stuff up against the wall and you do front end underwriting. Otherwise, they're going to yank your appointment.
That's right. And they'll cancel your policies.
That's right. And so for him, I told him though, I said, in order to have a new beginning, you have to have failure, right? You have to have an end. There has to be an end. There has to be an end to whatever it is that you're thinking, right? To go in and create that new mindset. You have to go in and figure out something to go in and use whatever those past experiences are to create that catalyst. And those agencies that can go through and weather this hard market,
they're going to
will be far better in the future once this market softens up.
Absolutely.
So as we go through this podcast, guys, one of the things that we are going to go into is we're going to go into, man, where do you find these markets? Where do you write this business? What carriers are appointing? Guys, there's some exciting carriers out there. And we're going to talk about them, in future podcasts that are available, coming into your state pretty soon. And we're going to talk about those on an upcoming podcast. We're not going to talk about those right now, but we're going to talk about those on an upcoming podcast. And you're like, Devin, why don't you talk about that now? Well, you have to have a reason to listen. You have to have a reason to come back, right? Because if I tell you everything up front now,
it's a one episode deal. We're done. I mean,
right? That's that hook, guys. Guys, one of the things I failed to mention was that I had 5 years in radio as well during my time in insurance, right? So I did radio for 5 years. I did a old. It was called the Gemini Ransom Effect. It was a variety show. It was on 107.1 FM, WJBB radio. And man, I did that for 5 years. That was so much fun, guys. That was I can't really remember why we stopped.
And guys, I'll be honest with you, you'll see snippets of us, I'm sure, on Facebook and everything else. But as you look at us, you will realize all three of us have a face for podcasting. Okay. It's not necessarily for TV. So it's that's why we're on where you're listening to us right now.
Right. And when you look at Mike, you're like, you know what? He really is from West Virginia.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, it's some ragged stuff here. I'm telling you.
Married his cousin.
We've been practicing social distancing now for a long, long time. We stay in our each holler. Okay. We've been doing that for years, but Devin, you said something earlier and it made me think about something with your outside guy. Ray Kroc didn't start McDonald's till he was in his 50s. Colonel Sanders didn't start KFC till he was in his 60s. So why us? Why now? Why Ray Kroc in his 50s? Why Colonel Sanders in his 60s? Why your outside sales guy can't turn it around because he didn't have it right? There's always a new beginning. There's always a way to start over. It's a matter of, do you want to start over? And it's a matter of, do you have the education and the mindset to start over? Now, if you have that, then you're going to succeed at no matter what you do. So, and hopefully something we say on this podcast, one thing that we say that can trigger someone out there listening, if you get one form of success from something, everything we've done has been worthwhile.
Yeah. Now, Chuck, you're second generation Allstate, correct?
I am.
Am I correct in there? I think second generation Allstate.
Mm-hmm.
My question, Chuck, for you is why? So you were in Allstate for 26 years, correct?
Yeah. So started Allstate in 1998. Yeah. So you're right about there.
So you were in Allstate for quite a while. Why all of a sudden switch to go from the Allstate world into a independent agency model? Like why the change? What? And you were how old were you when you made the switch to become an independent agent?
Yeah, it all started in 2020, so that gives me 55 or 53. So for me, 53, we were going through some changes. I was in Atlanta, Georgia, the Vinings area, and this nice little thing called severance came out, and I looked at the numbers and said, this is cool. Corporate America is changing dramatically. It wasn't fun like it used to be, where we worked hard, played hard. So it was that point that I said, all right, do you want to do this the rest of your life? And I remember vividly waking up. It was dark outside. I was on conference calls all day long. Then I remember leaving my office and it was dark outside. And I looked at my wife and I said, I can't do this because I'm used to shaking hands, hugging babies. That's just how I was. So that being said, thought about it, said, hey, do I really want to do this the rest of my life? I've done a lot of great things. The company taking me all over the world. I'm like, let me try something different. And if it doesn't work out, I'll go back. So once I started getting into this, me being the geek that I am, realizing that this world is it's like an untamed jungle. There's so much you can do. There's so many opportunities out there. It's like going to a Costco or a Sam's wholesale, depending on where you are in the country, or a BJ's wholesale, and saying, yeah, whatever you want, it's out there.
Yeah,
It's
but
just,
you started your agency not in a Costco wholesale. You started it in like I would consider it more like a neighborhood fruit stand, right? I
it was
mean,
a
in
neighborhood
Florida,
fruit.
there's not a lot of carriers to
No,
pick and
One,
choose
yeah,
from.
no.
Of
no,
all the
no,
states you're going to choose to start an
yeah,
independent agency,
yeah.
it was
So,
Florida.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the agency portion came second because at first what I was doing is working with the networks and helping other folks out by putting things together. Because how it originally started was I had all these damn licenses. I said, all right, what are you going to do? So what I thought about doing was making the captive world and kind of placing it in this independent world. And then my uncle decided he wanted to retire.
Okay.
And then when he went to retire, I said, hey, I'll buy your agency. That'll give me something to do. That'll be fun. And then when he saw the prices and I saw the prices he was being offered for it, they were just taking advantage of him. So I'm like, you know what? I'll buy it. This will make it fun for me. So it ended up being a hobby turned into something that I really started to enjoy. So the short answer to your question was I originally didn't come out straight into the agency world. I
Okay.
came out in the supportive role in the independent world, working for the agency networks and literally trying to bridge that gap with financial services and PNC. Because the one thing I learned, a PNC agent will be a great PNC agent. A financial services agent will be a great financial services agent.
Uh-huh.
And very rarely will the two be the same person. So the goal was how do you create an environment where agents don't have to just get rid of revenue by sending something down the street? And as both of you know, everybody in insurance has a relative or best friend that sells exactly what the PNC agent was selling. So when you refer it, if you've got their finances, usually you've got the ear of the customer. So how do we protect your book from the guardians at the gate? And that was literally what kind of spurred this thing on. And then I bought the agency and started doing that, and then bumped into some folks and realized, oh my God, all these years of eating out at restaurants, I know a lot of people. So started growing that. And now I'm worn out because I'm writing a lot of business on folks that I've met throughout the years that I used to refer to other folks. I'm like, I can make money on my own. And this is fun
Yeah.
and tiring. I think I told Mike the other day, I said, it reminds me of the analogy is like this. Hey, I just got the contract to do the lawn and maintenance at Disney World. They just gave it to me. And now is day one, and I actually have to cut the grass and
Yeah.
maintain the property. And you realize those dollars aren't as the same size as when you shake your hand on that deal as when you're sitting there taking 4 million phone calls saying,
Mhm.
hey, this is coming up for renewal. Can I have this? Oh, they forgot to pay their insurance. Is there anything you can do?
Mhm.
They don't have liability. They don't know what they have. And then I started finding an affinity for it where I'm like going, wow, this is pretty cool. Because here's the thing, we're in an industry where a lot of folks don't know what they're doing because a lot of folks are new.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And if you get really good in a particular area, they're going to tell absolutely everyone. So, literally, this one group of folks that I'm working with, I'm getting referrals on a weekly basis from everyone. And then when I start writing another one, it's like all their folks are calling in. So this is a really cool organic thing. And I always say, if you're going to be in something, be the honest guy in a crooked industry and you're going to do very well.
And guys, let me just follow up here with what Chuck said, because that is, if there's ever a time in this episode to take notes on this. Find your niche.
Yes.
Mhm.
Find your niche. Okay, guys. Insurance is insurance. Everybody has auto, everybody has home. You may have a niche in that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you can't. But what I'm saying is, if you find a niche, Chuck gave the best example possible. He has found a niche. And because of that niche, birds of a feather. That niche is telling everybody else they know in that niche. So not only
Mhm.
is Chuck getting those referrals, he's not getting shopped. Okay.
That's right.
He's not getting out there and competing with 4 other agents because he has a
Nope.
niche.
That's right.
So guys, seriously, take notes on that. That's the nugget of the day. Find a niche that both you enjoy, because you got to like it. Because insurance is the one thing, guys. If you've been in insurance more than about 14 minutes, you will figure out in any given day, you will have the highest of highs and the lowest of lows in the same day, every damn day.
Yep.
You're just going to have them. That's insurance for you. But when you have a niche, it does help.
Absolutely.
So, guys, find your niche. Now, it may take you a year, it may take you a week, but great advice from Chuck there. That's such good advice. Is just find that niche and take that niche and roll with it.
It's interesting that you bring up niche, right? It's interesting that you bring up the niche market, because that's really, when we're looking at the hard markets, that's really the best advice I could go and give somebody. Is you want to be successful in a hard market, you find a carrier that will write specific business, and
Yep.
then you go after that business. One of the best pieces of advice that I ever got from one of my former nationwide sales managers when I first started off, he said, he asked me, he says, well, what do you want to specialize in? I'm like, I really don't know. I don't know, right? Because I really didn't, I didn't work in the P&C side. I came from the life and financial side. And he says, whatever Nationwide wants to write, that's what you write.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever that is, whatever that carrier's appetite is. But what I can tell you is you take that a step further. And if there's a specific market that you want to become an expert in, become an expert in that market. Instead of going in and just bang your head against the wall and getting all these different types of policies or quotes from all these different areas that are, have nothing to do with each other. Go in and specialize in a specific area that that you can go and you can take it to multiple different carriers or a single carrier. It doesn't really matter there, right? But that the carriers will write it. From me and my agency, we have a couple of niche markets that we really focus on as an agency. For me, I specialize in the classic and the collector car market, right? That's what I do. And I gotta be honest with you guys, it's funny because I'll have marketing guys ask me how much my budget is if we buy leads or anything else like that, because our agency writes anywhere between $350,000 to $450,000 a month in new business.
Wow.
And we are 100% referrals. My marketing budget is nothing. I have a company that goes in and helps us with our just keep our agency name pretty much the same across the board. I have, and so I pay them for that, and I use another company that goes in and helps boost our Google reviews, and all it really does is they go and email our clients and invite them to go in and leave a review on the agency, which boosts our Google scores, right? But another market that we actually specialize in is the builder's risk market. We write probably $150,000 to $200,000 a month just in builder's risk.
Wow.
In the collector car market, I write anywhere between $40,000 to $50,000 a month just in the collector car market. So we do a lot inside of those markets, and that's 100% referral basis, right? So Mike and Chuck are 100% correct, right? Once you get into a niche market, you start building a name for yourself. You don't have to advertise, right? I go through a thing with my agents on how to turn your referral partners into advocates, right? There's a difference. There's a difference between a referral partner and an advocate. A referral partner is the person that you are going to refer business to, and in return, they're going to refer business back to you, right? An advocate is someone that maybe used to be a referral partner, but they like you so much and believe in what you do so much that they're going to go tell it on the mountain and tell every single person that they come in contact with, hey, you need to call Devin. He's the best in that world. Hey, you need to call Devin. And guys, I have people all over the collector car market on all, from here to California, and I'm licensed in 42 states. And I write collector cars in 42 states across the United States. And that's just, and my name just gets put out there. It just gets put out there from all these different folks. I'm actually, one of our podcasts, I'm actually going to go down the road because I've got to do an updated video to one that I did about 4 years ago, which I get a lot of referrals off of that video too.
Mhm.
But that's kind of the area that we go down, guys. The best advice that we can give you out here right now is, in this hard market, find something to specialize in.
Absolutely.
Find something that specializes in that agencies and the carriers, more importantly, the carriers will write.
Yeah. And here's the difference between a
more
referral partner and an
importantly-
advocate. A referral partner will give you the name if they're asked. The advocate will come up and say, "Do you have Devin?"
Yeah.
That's the difference. So you
Yep.
you want the customer to bring your name up first. You don't want someone to ask them, "Hey, who you got your insurance with?" "Oh, I got it with Devin." That's a referral partner. The advocate is, "Man, I hope your insurance is with Devin like mine."
That's exactly
And
it.
here's one thing we're not saying directly, but I want to be very direct on this. Your passion is going to be your success.
Mhm.
So find that one thing that's not called personal lines homeowners, personal line auto, and go deep into it. So if you are into boating, that's going to be your niche.
Mhm.
And you feel passionate about going on with boat companies and talking about, if you're a geek in anything, that's the thing you want to spend your time. If you were a former sales rep for a drug company, then going the doctor route, that's going to be your niche. So don't literally narrow your mind into, now that I'm insurance, what's calling in and what are some great keywords. Think more about what was your life, what was your pastime, and who do you know in there, because those centers of influence will send you so much business, it's not even funny. And when you're hiring people, have that same conversation with them, because your job is to build many, many me's that have different verticals in your agency that can complement, so they're not all fighting for the same thing. And as we started off this whole conversation with is, so how do you get through a hard market? It's the same as how do you survive any market: diversification.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. And guys, the next thing for us in our next episodes, we are going to actually go into how to increase your revenue, ways to increase your revenue. We're going to talk about some of the new carriers that are coming down the line that you can maybe go ahead and get access to and get appointed with in certain states. But one last thing that I do want to talk about, that I do want to mention, that really is not so much insurance related, but it is going to be our Beyond the Insurance and Beyond podcast. And this is really one that's going to be in the same, it's going to be in the same podcast area, right? It's going to be in there.
Just
but
a little left. Just a little
it's
left.
going to be a little different. And this is the one where we get into all things, which is our passions, which is cigars,
Dudes doing
whiskey,
dude stuff.
football,
That's right. Yeah.
whatever else, guys.
Football, bourbon, cigars.
Yeah, all things fun. All things fun. That's our passions. We're gonna we'll get into that. So if you want something a little bit different, that's gonna be fun, that's gonna be lively, I encourage you to tune into our Beyond the Insurance and Beyond Cap podcast. But guys, I really want to thank you for tuning in to us. Thank you for listening to the Insurance and Beyond podcast. And remember, next time, tune in to listen, learn, and earn your way to success in this ever evolving world of insurance. Have a blessed day.